Chris Upton in the house. Keep yourself covered. I'm coming in. 18 people in the house and 5 thumbs up already. Good evening, everybody. And happy vodka day to you. Corleone. Birthday present from my daughter. I just thought I'd put it on you. And Jesus Christ, I'm not faced in here. I best put my glasses on to start with. What a day. What a bloody day. What a night. What a night. Are you getting all ready for the lockdown? Lockdown special tonight, isn't it? Simon Spruce first in the house. Karen Evans, good evening to you. Paul Crocker, good evening. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Paul. Is it your birthday, is it? Stephen Webb, evening. John Wilson, good evening. John Griffiths, Griffins, good evening. Christopher, good evening. Denver Skinner, good evening. Michael McLaughlin, have a whiskey. Michael McLaughlin. Sorry, Michael. Simon Spruce, Christopher, Alan Herod, Ryan Nolan. Hello, Ryan. Ryan's in the house. Martin Lawrence, Steve Pace, Peter Piper, Andy Stead, and Sue. Oh, yeah, she's in the house. She's in the house for a freaking month.
You love it, really.
Do you know what did I do to deserve this, everybody? What did I do to deserve this? It's like
you turned 59.
59 years old, and I got a whole month with the wife locked in the house. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna have to go out and find some jobs.
Oh, I can find you jobs.
She can find me jobs, he says. Anyway, this morning, was it this morning? I don't even know. Up 1 o'clock this morning, up 4 o'clock this morning for this American election. I put 100 quid on Trump. I put £100 on Trump at 3-1. And I didn't put it all on in one go. I just fancied him winning. I was getting fed up with all the pundits saying that this bloke Biden was so far ahead. So I decided I put 25 quid on, then I put a tenner on, and in the end I had 100 quid on. You'll have to go rough shooting. There you go. I look rough, yeah. So last night, everyone was saying he was 9 points ahead, this Biden. Then last night at 1 o'clock, it started to change. They started coming in, and Trump was sitting pretty. And he was well ahead in a lot of states than Biden was. I thought, bloody hell. So 4:30, I was listening to it. Before you know it was 4:30. And I came out of the bedroom and said, Sue, and she went, ooh. I said, guess what? Trump is winning. Ooh. So I've come and put the telly on, watched a bit more. Nigel Farage comes on. He's at Trump, the party in America, giving it large that Trump is going to win. 24/7, sleepy Joe Biden isn't fit to drive, let alone run a country. Exactly. So I thought the effort that Trump put in to try and become president again for the second term, I thought he deserves that. And then I'm getting an hour's kip. 6:30, woke up and everything had changed. All of a sudden, he was throwing his toys out the pram, Trump was, saying that it's corrupt and it's bent and the election votes is not right. And I'm thinking, why are you moaning? You're winning. Then I realised that all the postal votes are coming in now. And Biden's going to start screaming ahead. So I looked at the odds for William Hill, where I put all my bets on my mobile phone. And all of a sudden, it had turned round. Trump was evens, and his mate, Biden, was 4-1, 72, 4-1. But they offered to cash me in if I wanted to cash me bets in. So I could cash me bets in and make 125 quid on 100 quid, so I get 225 quid back. Or I could wait and collect the full amount of 300 quid. And I thought, do I take the money and run? Because I don't like this. This don't seem right. Everything's turning round. So I bottled it. I took the money and ran. So I made 125 quid out of me 100 quid. I ran and took the money. Best thing I could have done. Woke up at 8 o'clock and it's all turned round again. I thought, that's it. That's it now. I'm never, ever staying up all night watching that freaking American crap again. Honestly. It's like not going to be decided till Friday or something, is it? Third Friday or Saturday or something like that. They're all sending lawsuits out to each other. I thought on the day, whoever candidate had the most votes from each of the states was the winner. So there you go. So politics for you to start off with. How come we've all disappeared? There's only got 50 people in here. You've all gone. Good man, Chris. You're way ahead of the pundits' money made. Yeah, the pundits were giving Biden 9 points ahead of Trump. So for Trump to come back the way he has, and it's still to be hanging in the balance. But guess what? I think Biden's going to win because people put in electoral votes, posted them in and stuff like that, sent postal votes in and that, and they're still actually counting them now. And I think Trump was wrong to say that, until the votes have been in, then he should have said, right, if there's corruption, I'm going to go to the High Court and everything. But at the end of the day, you can't knock Trump for his doggedness, can you? And what's happened is the people are fed up. This is why I brought it up. The people are fed up. Genuine people are fed up with the government and the politics, either side, whether it's Conservatives, Labour, whether it's Liberals, Democrats. People are fed up with the politics, the bent politics that look after each other. At the end of the day, Trump is a businessman. Trump is not a politician. Trump doesn't know how to smile and stab you behind the back. Trump will tell you to your face what he feels. And I'm not saying Trump's perfect in any way, but I'd rather back Trump than this Biden. And I just think that they don't realize what they've let themselves in for. Myself. But hey, who am I? Who am I? I got Brexit right. I got the election right. I got Boris right. I do quite well in politics for saying I'm dyslexic. I think I'll become a pundit. I'll start giving you horses. I'll give you a horse tip every Saturday, shall I? And Sue can put the bets on for you. Oh no, she's on lockdown. Anyway, so let's go back to dog training, shall we? I feel sorry for Sue. Why is that? DIY delight. Yeah, lovely. Can't wait for it. Honestly, can't wait for it. Ian Galt's in the house. Trump had dealings with the mafia years ago. There you go. So do I. Look, so do I, mate. So do I. Look, boxing. Look, boxing. Look. Corleone. You know what this is, don't you? This is Borit's G-string. And it smells beautiful. Borat, isn't it? Not Borit. Borat. Hang on. Sorry. Anyway. They all say that they will do loads and then they get in, they never do, Chris. Exactly. But at least Trump said he'd do things and he did try and do it. And you can't blame Boris or you can't blame Trump for this virus. This has hit everybody, hasn't it? And we're all suffering. My calendar was full for November. And guess what? It's now lost the whole lot. What can I do about it? What would happen if we carried on going out there and loads of people, older people, got infected? We have to think of the older people, don't we? We've got to think of the older people, like myself, and especially Sue. That's it. Kung flu from China. That's where it came from. And Trump put a lot of his own money into the country. Yeah, and Trump never took anything for wages as the president. I mean, you were all the stuff with Biden. Anyway, what did my darling wife bought me? She bought me this for my birthday. Anybody knows what that is? VSOP, very special old Pratt. That's what she got it for. That's it. She's got a sense of humour. Why? She says she wrote on the thing for a very special old Pratt. Isn't that nice of her, everybody? Anyway, we had D here this week. She was the last one here. Brandy, cognac, close, cognac, champagne cognac, isn't it? Of course, do all springers pee a little when they get excited? I have heard it's quite normal from the breed. Some of them do, Denver. Some of them don't. Some of them do it a lot. William G. Webb. I did see a message about 10 minutes ago about bringing on. Oh, Jesus Christ, me, it's gone. I did see your message, mate, and I haven't got a share the screen button on this. Else I would bring him, Danny. I would bring him on, no problem at all. But I haven't got on here a share the screen with Danny. Else I would bring him on, no problem at all. Love to have him on. Great lad, good trainer, speaks his mind. That's why I like Trump. You might not like him. You might think he's an idiot. He's gingerhead, and that. At the end of the day, I'm not saying I like everything he says, but I'd rather have a Trump who speaks his mind than somebody who smiles and wants to assassinate you. And I think Danny's exactly the same. He's a straight talking dog trainer. And if you think I swear, Danny swears even more. But guess what? I can put up with all that all day long. Oh, it's just come up here. The election special. Trigonometry is live. I don't want to listen to any more. I've took me 125 quid profit. I've run to the hills and I've washed my hands with them because guess what? I'm not into it when they bring legal teams into it and start arguing about that crap. It seems absolutely crazy, doesn't it? That you can send in postal votes and nothing can be proved. It just opened for fiddling, isn't it? But at the end of the day, it may have been done 100% perfect. But I think I knew at the right time to get out and take your money. Take your money. Peter Taylor, Chris, I have had a leather collar on Jax for 2 weeks now. He is used to it, and now I'm going to put the dog collar on him. How long should I have it on him before using it? Well, you could put the collar on him now, and you can start using it on the long line. And what you do is you put the collar on him, you take him on concrete, and you put him on concrete, and you put a long line on him, and you put it up to 2 or 3, and you just tap it, and you're looking for an ear twitch like that, or a movement like that, something very, very slight, very, very slight. The slightest movement, it means you can just feel it. It's like, what's that? Even if he looks at the ground, right? You know he can feel it. And then what you do is you tap and you say, come here. So you tap and you say, come here, right? Now, some people say you tap and then you say, come here, right? You do it any way you like, but you have to condition the dog in the way that you feel is fit. And if you get Larry Crone's book, if you read that, you can do it your way. I do it my way, and at the end of it, it works for me. Because if I give a verbal cue, I want the dog to come into me, right? And so I'm conditioning the dog that when you feel that sensation, and it's like that, that's all it's like, isn't it? You don't want the dog jumping, you don't want the dog, and you give the verbal cue, you give the slight tug on the leash. He knows what that is, but you already know he knows what it is, but you go through that motion. Now, you don't have to do it for weeks on end because you know your dog's listening, but what you're doing, you're pairing that tap to that come here. So it's the same as pip pip means turn. You're going tap, come here, right? And you're giving a verbal cue, right? And I always give a verbal cue to begin with because I'm conditioning the dog. Now you've got to sit on the dog as well, and we know you've got to sit on the dog. So you sit the dog up, you walk down the long line. He's not allowed to move. You don't tap him if he moves. You put him back on the spot. You do not use the collar if he moves. When he sits up, you can say, come here and tap, and in he comes, right? So it's come here, tap, come here, tap. You're tapping to give at the same time. It's all to do with timing. When the dog understands what that is, you let the collar, you got the long line go and you leave it on the floor. and you sit him up, you move around him, and you do the same thing again. Then you take off Ray's collar and just leave the slip lead on him. All right, that's where it's different than Larry's. When you've left the slip lead on him, you do the same thing again. Once he's listening to you 100%, you take the slip lead off and take him in the field, and you do exactly the same scenario. The reason we do it on concrete, because there's no distraction. So if the dog's sniffing and you're trying to get a working level, if the dog's just standing there on concrete on the lead, you're just going to watch him on a loose lead or a long line, and you're just going to watch him, and he shows you that slightest movement, and you're going to work with that dog on that for a week before you do anything. Right now, the way you do it this way, Peter, he's not going to have the association, because you've already had an e-collar on him, and you frightened him, you did it wrong, and you had the dog close to you. That's why you have to go through this system of training with this dog. That's the way we do it. Okay. And if we could get let me just see. Let me just see. We'll try for you. We'll try this for you. Right. I'm just trying something for you guys. So I just called him, and he cancelled the call, so we won't bother. But that was Danny Wells. We tried to contact Danny Wells, because I was going to speak to Danny about the e-collar, and not a problem. He's obviously busy at the moment, but I just rung him, and we were going to speak to him on the phone, and we were going to ask him a number of questions about the e-collar, because Danny uses the e-collar as well, and Danny works with protection dogs, and he works with ordinary dogs as well, and helps people with problem dogs. And at the end of the day, it would be nice for me and him to have a chat about the e-collar. So what I'm going to do as well, I'm going to try and bring somebody else in. They don't know. These people don't know I'm bringing them in, or they might not know I'm bringing them in. I'm going to try and bring somebody else in. Okay. They don't have to come in. Now, you'll love this one. You'll love this one if he comes in. Okay. Nobody wants to come in. They've all gone fishing. Doesn't want to come in neither, look. No. So you've had it then? Eh? Can't answer.
No, you can answer the question, yeah.
Miss your call, mate. Laugh out loud. Oh, Danny's in the house. Let's see if he takes it again. No problem if he doesn't. No, it's not trying. It's not working. So there you go. We'll try that. But cheers, Danny. No problem, mate. He's obviously busy. But he said, oh, he's here. He's coming in. Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Upton. How are we doing?
Hiya, Danny. All right, boy?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
You got this bloody lockdown as well, have you?
Yeah, it's a freaking nightmare, isn't it? I haven't been doing my classes for nearly 2 months now, because there's that many people on class. I just can't socially distance it, so there's no point doing it, is there?
Yeah, it's a nightmare, isn't it, mate? You're live at the moment, Danny, just to let you know, because you did leave a message on there, but I didn't want you to just... Yeah, no problem. You're live.
Yeah, I'm still going to be just as inappropriate.
No problem at all, mate. William sent me a message. I saw it last minute, and I thought, well, I can't bring Danny on, as in split the screen on this for some reason. I'm on my computer, but everyone can hear you. One of the questions that we've been having is e-collars, Danny. Do you mind talking about e-collars, mate?
Not at all. Talk about any subject matter, mate. Go ahead.
There you go. That's why I get on with Danny. I like a guy who speaks his mind.
Okay.
So Danny, if you're going to condition a dog for recall, how would you do it? Because I've told everybody how I do it. How would you do it for recall with an e-collar?
Very much dependent on the dog, as you know. When you say, if someone was to say to you, what punishment would you give a gun dog that won't stop on a stop whistle? You've got 1,000,001 ways of doing it, and you'd read the dog, wouldn't you? So I'll go through a couple of ways that I do. So some dogs, I'll have them in an enclosed area. If they're super motivated, I'll have the e-collar on a very, very, very low level, working level. Find that first, and just start giving them subtle taps. And as soon as the reward hit, the dog will come back for a reward. There's obviously no competing motivators in the field because it's just an empty field. Dogs that are really, really curious with the nose, I'll do that with a long line, so I can give them directional pressure on the lead if they're ignoring me, and then obviously mark and reward. Sometimes I'll do it where I'll give them the actual recall word and then associate a double tap, and then obviously heavily reinforce that and build it up from there. There's many, many ways that I condition the e-collar. Some dogs, people don't ever talk about this, but some dogs are just that headstrong that I'll skip the whole working level phase, and I'll just give them a subtle tap, not what I would say is a big punishment, but enough that they can feel, and they'll associate that straight away. And you can get an e-collar conditioned dog within 3 or 4 reps. They're a rarity, but they are out there. Eli, my Malinois that I gave to one of my trainers, I didn't have to do any conditioning with that dog. I just gave him a small consequence for ignoring me, and he never ignored me ever again. He's just one of them dogs. Do you know what I mean?
That's brilliant, Danny, because that's because of your knowledge and your understanding of reading dogs. That's the important thing.
And that's what I keep saying to people. You know, any tool does not substitute good experience, worthwhile experience, and reading the dog. And you know, I'd be lying if I said I haven't got that wrong in the past, and I've had to build it up. I've made that mistake a handful of times where I thought, I'll get away with this one, and then all of a sudden you got a dog that won't leave your side. This is what happens on your journey to being an experienced trainer, isn't it? I'm sure you've flattened out many a dog when you've been training in your youth, or made the odd mistake. It happens. It does happen. You know what I mean? And I've seen purely positive trainers flatten dogs out. It happens, but I'm happy to say that hasn't happened for many years now.
and that's it. That's the important thing, because when Larry is giving his way he does it, he's dealing with Joe Public. He's not dealing with professional dog trainers like you and me. We know when to step in and when not to step in and give discipline, and we know when to build and then give discipline, don't we? That's the difference.
That's it. I think as a young starting out dog trainer, the main thing to remember is your own mindset. So, you know, if you're having a bad day, you've been arguing with your partner, stuff's not going too well, that's not the time to be doing exercises that are going to require discipline, because chances are you'll lose your temper, you'll end up displacing your own frustration onto the dog, and, you know, that's just going to make the training session not work for you, and it's going to be counterproductive. It's about knowing yourself. You know, I'm a bad-tempered fucker, and as soon as I know, you don't mind me swearing, do you? Sorry, I'm not at
all. Not at all,
right. So I literally, Chris, the only thing I have patience for in life is dogs. But sometimes I know I'm on a knife's edge, and I just won't train my dogs that day. I'll obviously still do my behaviour work, but when I'm trying to refine things in my own dogs, I won't train my dogs that day. It's about knowing yourself and knowing when to train, when to not train, and when to bring in the discipline and when not to.
Do you know, I read a Labrador training book. I've sold it on years ago, but on the front cover it said, what makes a good dog trainer? Does a complacent, a nice-mannered guy make a good dog trainer? Or does a guy who takes no prisoners make a better dog trainer? And he said the guy who takes no prisoners makes the better dog trainer in the long run, because he doesn't let the dog handle the baggage where he's building up to that. So you can over mollycoddle a dog, can't you? And we know when to step in, and we know when to give positives, and we nurture the dog. But Peter Taylor, the guy who has now bought this collar, and I've put videos up, they can watch the way I do it, and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful for someone else to come on and give their opinion about the e-collar? So he's got a cocker that is really hard driven, and he races out after it, he squares it up, and it laughs at him because it's hard as nails. Now, it's his own fault because he's allowed the dog to take over, right? That's novice-y, right? But guess what? He wants to get back on board with the dog. And I said, the best thing you can do is get the e-collar and condition the dog on the e-collar. Now, the dog knows what recall is, Danny. He knows what recall is. He's just blowing him off with it. Yeah. So you can move in quicker with that if it was you or me working with the dog. But I've given Peter the exact scenario of what Larry says. Long line first. Say, come here, tap, give a slight tug on the long line, just a tight, slight tug. Once he's doing that, then take the collar off and long line off and just leave the collar on. Do the same thing, but do it on concrete, find the working level on concrete, and then go out in the field and say, right, if you want to play the game, we'll take this up if you want to. Then the dog doesn't hold baggage over it, does it?
No, not at all. And that's the clear, concise message that people need to understand. Punishment, discipline in general is not an abusive act. It's a very necessary act, and it's one of the most important things that you'll ever undergo as a mammal on the planet. Punishment teaches you how to not be seriously injured or dead. That's what punishment does for you. Where it's not ethical is when you're attempting to punish something that doesn't understand why it is being punished. No one's going to grab you off the street and throw you in jail without an explanation. So these people that are just wellying dogs on collars, when the dog doesn't know how to switch off that or why that happened in the first place, what do they expect going to happen? The dog's going to flee from it or just suppress to death. This is the message that people need to understand, because unfortunately, we can talk about the sense of e-collars, and I think it's without a doubt the most revolutionary tool ever invented in dog training. But the reality of it is, we live in a world today where people are just that warped as snowflakes that they just can't accept punishment full stop. I had a bulldog in with me today, and it was exactly the same thing. And I was actually lied to. He told me it was just nice, and it had, a little bit stubborn. Turns out, it's fucking biting.
Yeah.
And it's 2 years of age, an old English bulldog. And as soon as I got the lead, and they can be very difficult to read, these dogs. And he friggin' bit me on the foot, and there's no line about it. I just walloped him on the top of the head. And it was perfectly timed with the second his teeth hit my foot.
Yeah.
And he just went, tell you what, I won't be biting his foot again.
Yeah,
and he just
exactly.
walked along next to me like it never even happened.
But that's exactly the same in life with blokes in a pub, isn't it, Danny? It's not always the mouthy little bastard who's giving it large. He's not a danger, is he? It's the quiet one who you've got to watch when he walks up and said, let's take it outside. Because he's either got it, but the little mouthy git who needs to stand next to his mates, and that's what dogs are like. They're brave in that environment that they feel comfortable. But you take them out of that environment, and all of a sudden they're a different dog.
Yeah, and this is another thing I'm faced with. You train a dog that's fiercely aggressive, and how many times you'll hear, trainers are at each other all the time. You flatten that dog. You've done this and you've done that. What they're failing to mention is this dog's whole coping strategy towards everyday life is to aggress. When you take away the ability to aggress, of course, the dog's going to look like a bag of shit.
Yeah.
Because it's got no coping strategy.
Yeah.
That now comes the beauty of training. Now we have to teach the dog that, when you don't bite, nothing bad happens to you. And that is what I call walking the grind. You've got to get that dog to walk the grind and understand you cannot aggress. Find out plan B. And plan B is ignore it, because nothing bad's going to happen to you.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I had a dog this week that was picking up sticks and wouldn't sit there while they took the lead off before they cast it off, a spaniel. And he kept picking up sticks, and then they're grabbing it out of his mouth. He's holding onto it tight, and it was just a silly game that they got themselves into. It's like two children fighting. I went, that's an unwanted behavior. How do we stop it? By punishing it. What do you mean, punishing it? I thought you're not supposed to punish a dog with something in its mouth. No, something you don't want in its mouth. Yes.
Yeah.
But
the reality of the situation is, if that stick brings that dog joy, it's going to repeat the behaviour again.
Exactly.
And if he chooses the stick over the pheasant, then once upon a time, everyone went hungry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. But they said, but in your video,
you can't make stick pie, Chris.
they say never punish the dog with something in its mouth. I says, a bird, a dummy, a ball, but not a fucking stick or stones. If it picks up stones and it wants to eat them, you've got to stop that unwanted behaviour, else you end up with vet's fees. And
the biggest problem for us as trainers, especially with gun dogs, and everyone can listen up on this, most of these behaviours happen because you give your dogs too much freedom before they've earned it and show you that they know how to conduct themselves.
Dead right.
If you give a dog freedom and it doesn't know what it's supposed to do, it'll find things that it's genetically disposed to find joy with, and then you've got problems.
Yeah, you're dead right. Absolutely dead right. And this is important, guys, because Danny is a bite specialist, right? And protection dogs that he works with, but he works with other people's dogs as well, with all aspects of dog training, where I am a specific gun dog trainer. Can I work with people's pet dogs? Of course I can, but I don't want to. I don't need to, because I've got enough business and I love what I do with gun dogs.
Yeah.
But the concept is exactly the same. It's the same as we talk about Jonas and his concept of working with pet dogs. It's the same concept. We have to stop unwanted behavior and build on positives to get the dog to want to play the game. And that's important.
And the thing is, we get criticised, and people will say, like, they're barbaric, they're abusive, they're this. What these people don't understand is, and I said this, you see in my Labrador in London, you can't lie to a dog. You can't make a dog lie to the public.
No.
The dog is what it is. So when my dog's skipping next to me with a wagging tail, tell me that dog's unhappy. You can't get your dog to lie for you. So discipline doesn't affect the dog. The dog's got. You can't force a dog to go and win a field trial. It's got to want to do the work. It's got to find joy from the work. So anyone saying it's a cruel life because the dog gets punished, the dog wouldn't do it if it didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. So Danny, do you use the e-collar for teaching stop as well yourself?
I haven't had to do that really, and I think I just touched lucky. My Labrador Flint, he's one of them Labradors. I would say, just, you know, when you get one of them dogs that's just born a little bit trained, you only have to train something once, and he just retains it.
Yeah.
When he wouldn't stop on the stop whistle, I put a long line on him and sent him out for a load of retrieves, long distance retrieves, and then I started the shorter retrieve. When I got that down, I done the shorter retrieves and put a long line on him, and I just give him a tap on. I blew the whistle and give him a little tap on it. And then the second time, when he never stopped, I went, hey, and he stopped straight away. And from then on, he's always stopped on a stop whistle.
Yeah,
I was just really lucky with Flint, like. But I would do it. Yeah, I think you've got to have a certain panache, haven't you, when you're teaching sendaways and stop whistles, because if you get it wrong and you overcorrect, then the dog won't go away from your side. It won't send away. So you've got to know, and this is everyone, guys. Listen, Chris has got a lot of experience with these dogs. If you're just playing dog trainer and you're serious about being able to send your dog out and you want it to stop, if you get that wrong, how much of a bastard is that to fix, Chris? When your dog has got this kind of
the whole point
of issue, but it wants to stay now.
The whole point of it is, Danny, that it's the reason I don't use the collar to teach the stop is because I can teach the stop close in. And I teach the top.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I never taught that stop whistle when he was 300 yards away. I taught it from 6 foot away.
And then build it up. Then build it up.
I'm a strong believer in. I never use the e-collar to teach anything. I overlay it if it needs to.
Yeah.
I think people are losing the passion for proper dog training.
Without fail.
Train the dog.
Yeah.
And then utilize the e-collar if you need to. There is nothing on this planet that I couldn't teach a dog with an e-collar that I can't teach without. So why would I?
So if you want a dog to get into the back of a vehicle, would you use an e-collar?
No. Why would I need to use an e-collar for that? No way.
Well, I wouldn't, but I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to name who, but I know an e-collar guy who trains with e-collars who teaches dogs to get in with the e-collar. At the end of the day, it's like a horse being led into a horse box. If you stop as he gets to the ramp, and the horse puts its brakes on, you're not going to move a horse. And yet if you move back and flow into the car and just lead the dog in and put it in firmly on the lead, guess what? The dog gets in the car very quick.
It goes in.
Yeah,
it goes in. So they're mainly working on like negative reinforcement, aren't they? They're holding the collar down, putting the dog in and teaching the dog to switch off the pressure of the collar by getting in. So that way, as soon as it feels the collar, its instinct is to get in. But again,
I'm not a fan of that, Danny.
I don't think you need to do it. Why would you need to do that? It's a very, very basic behaviour.
Yeah.
You know, I've had dogs that will literally try and eat you.
Yeah.
Put them in a car, but I'll still get them in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't need an e-collar to do that.
No. And that's it. That's the whole point that I think is important for us, what we call professional dog trainers, to talk about, is the fact that we can agree to disagree on certain things, but we got to give a reason why we disagree and make it rational. Because I can train any behavior close to me without an e-collar because I've done it for 30 years and I know every trick in the book. But at a distance, the e-collar is the finest tool to get that dog back to you.
100%.
And when
sometimes it doesn't matter how good at it you are, that dog will know when that lead is off and it will know when it can get away with it. And the reality of it is, if you've got a dog, it's hard with this breeding for, like, especially, let's take your gun dogs, for example, because if you breed for excessive drive, that's a pain in the ass because you're going to be punishing that dog throughout its career. But getting enough drive where the dog's really enthused to get the job done, but not too much where it'll lose its mind, that's what you're breeding for, isn't it? And, you know, when you get one of them dogs that just no matter what, retrieving or the chase of the pheasant is just, it's going to blow you off every time and just tell you to piss off and keep hunting even though you're calling it back. You're going to have to use the e-collar. There's just no other way you're going to get about it.
But I find the e-collar is a fantastic tool for turning the dog when you're hunting the dog in front of you, quartering the dog, and you want to turn the dog on 2 pips. So you pip and the dog turns, pip dog turns. If it blows you off and doesn't turn, the old method used to be, and it works, race out after the dog, grab hold of the scruff or the ear and just go tweak, tweak, not swing it round by the ear, but just go tweak, tweak, a little bit of negative, let the dog go. If it doesn't listen to you next time, do the same thing. Guess what we got now? We got the e-collar, and we can't be seen what we're doing, and it's so much better because you can tap it gently as a game, and the dog goes, oh, you've got control at a distance because you can condition the dog to come back on the e-collar, so it knows what the e-collar means. Then you go to low stim, not high stim, and you just go, it's a game. It's tap, tap, turn, tap, tap, turn.
100%.
It works beautiful, Danny. It works beautiful.
It needs to be said, there's them dogs where it's not a game. There's them dogs that will just constantly blow you off, and they need a consequence for that. And that's okay as well, as long as the dog understands what it is. I think they're a brilliant tool. It's changed the game of resource guarding. So when you have to punish a dog for resource guarding, the e-collar has changed the game because you know the score. If a dog's guarding its food or guarding a ball, then the only way you're going to get it is to get stuck in there and you might get bitten. The e-collar is giving people a much safer way of resolving that behaviour. But people just don't accept it. They just don't let, no matter, you've got 42 razor blades snapping at you and people are still having a problem with punishing that behaviour. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And my answer is, you want to get rid of the e-collar, I'll stop any fucking dog that's in front of me guarding or baring teeth to me, but you won't like what you see if you get rid of that e-collar.
Yeah, exactly. You're dead right, Danny, and that's the whole point, because that's where the visual is what people go, oh, that's not acceptable. Hang on, you haven't seen how much work's been put into that dog before you reach that stage of going, right, you're now going to have a lesson taught to you, right? Because with a gun dog, it takes 2 years to train a gun dog. If you just do nothing but discipline from day one, you won't have a gun dog. You'll have a robot 100%. At your side.
100%. It's the ignorance of, if I explain it like this is how stupid these people are. They think that, never mind, if I was to stick you in a field, Chris, and I say, right, I'm gonna hit Chris on this stim on this e-collar, and he's gonna go and get me a KFC.
Yeah.
That's never gonna fucking happen because you don't know what the desired behaviour I want you to do. Yet people think that we're just mindlessly shocking dogs, to use their bullshit terminology, shocking dogs, and the dog just magically knows what we want, so it complies. How stupid is that? It's so stupid.
It is.
You don't realise that there's been so much training put into the dog in fun, interactive ways, teaching the dog what's required of the dog and making it so that it's a self-rewarding behaviour. All we're really dealing with is competing motivators most of the time.
But these so-called positive trainers and have gone for the last 20 years promoting this way of training, and we've got more fucked up dogs now than we've ever had because of their ideology. And what happens, Danny? They attack us. We don't go looking to attack them, but when we stand up to them, that sends them back to under the stones they come from, and that's what we've got to do. We cannot sit back and pretend we don't give discipline. We need to talk about it and talk about it in the right manner and educate, don't we?
100%. The only thing that they have on us is they are united. They're united in bullshit, but you can literally do a PhD in that bullshit. The problem what we've got, I could list them right now. There are so many shit trainers that are advertising themselves as balanced trainers. We all are singing from different hymn sheets, and there is no formal academia for what we teach and what we do. So we are absolutely divided, whereas they're like one united army of bullshit, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. You're dead right. But the thing is, we are fighting back, some of us, aren't we? And that is what we need to do. You can't sit back. The gun dog world have caused the problem on themselves by not being straightforward and saying to the kennel club, fuck off. You cannot train a dog on love and affection only. Positive only does not fucking work. And how can you peddle that shit? Because you've got judges.
It's never worked. It doesn't work now, and it never will do. And I find it hilarious that these people cry out that they're so passionate about there's other ways of training dogs, and we know these better ways. Yet anytime you say, show me, they'll try and take the moral high ground and go, I don't have to prove myself to you. Yes, you fucking do. Yes, you do. You want to tell me that you've got a better way? Show me. Because
Exactly.
I'm sure you're the same, Chris.
Put it up.
If someone can show me that standard of dog trained in a purely positive way, and I could never have to punish again, I'd snap their hands off and go, show me.
Exactly.
I'll throw everything I've ever learned out the window. I want to learn this.
I say exactly the same thing, because guess what? I've looked for it. I've looked deep and hard for it by studying everybody and anybody. You know, some of the stuff that Michael Ellis teaches, some of the stuff that Bart teaches, some of the stuff that Ivan teaches, I use myself. They didn't teach me. I use it. I agree with them. But there's other things in their training that I don't need because I train gun dogs. The difference is I got a guy here who's asked a question. John Griffiths, how do you start a dog on an e-collar for barking? My dog's 12 months old and very excited cocker. Well, what would you say about that, Danny? Because I've told people on my videos, and if they don't come on Patreon now and spend £6 a month, they can freaking go and find it on the internet with 16 million freaking answers from idiots. Because guess what? The internet with these dog forums are the nightmare. Do you agree?
I completely agree. It's always some fucking idiot, like, you know, Lorraine, who used to do hair and nails for 20 years, but she always loved dogs. So she's done a 2-week course or even two-day course, and now she's a fucking expert. It's always some shit like that. The reality of it is, and again, people don't talk the truth. If you've got your dog confined on a lead or in a crate, then there is nothing wrong with giving him an undesirable consequence to that behaviour. So you can literally give him at a level that the dog will wish to avoid, and you associate it. So it's bark, tap, bark, tap. The dog will work out within 2 or 3 reps that every time it barks, an unpleasant consequence happens and it'll stop it. This is called the association of ideas. It comes back to Pavlov's dogs. What we're talking about working levels is when you're teaching dogs things. If you want your dog to do a desired behaviour on the cue of the stim of the collar, then you have to put the groundwork in and train that. Otherwise, the dog doesn't know. In terms of a dog that's eating its own shit, barking in a crate, you can use the e-collar as a tool of punishment and just give the dog a consequence for doing that behaviour. This is another problem I have, Chris. There's so many trainers that I won't mention no names. They don't talk about this side of dog training. And to me, when you don't talk about it, you mislead the public. And what happens is, when it comes out how they use like that, people think everyone's lying to them and they're pulling the wool over the lies. There is nothing wrong with punishing undesired behaviour. There is nothing wrong at all as long as it's done ethically. So
did you hear how fast Danny talks, everyone? He's passionate. He's driven. He loves it. I love it. I love the way he puts it across. I was trying to get in there and ask a question, and William George Webb has asked exactly the same question on here. Would you ever pair a command with that negative of a punishment because the dog's barking? No, I wouldn't neither. Exactly. Because I don't want to keep repeating myself. Because this is where we cross the line between ethical punishment and abuse. If you repeat yourself, if you tell your kid to sit down and they don't, you go sit down. They don't, you go sit down, and by the end of it, you go fucking sit down. Right? I don't want to be repeating myself to my dog. I want my dog to just know that is not a required behaviour. You're best not doing it. When you're talking about conditioned punishers, you know, we're talking about the recall. The recall should be a healthy balance of a positive interrupter, which means when you say come, the dog understands that something good happens if they come back. But it also must respect the iron fist. It must also respect that if I ignore the word come, something bad will happen. And that's the reality of it. I don't want to put a conditioned punisher on my dog barking. I want my dog to know, oh, the postman's here. I'm not supposed to bark. I don't want to be a prisoner to go and quiet. I don't want to do that. So you've got some right good feedback. What's your opinion on that, Chris? You've got some right good feedback on here. Danny for president instead of fucking Biden. Look, no, I don't think that'll work out well. Passion is knowledge. The problem with people like you and me, Danny, we're too outspoken. We say it the way it is, and we're never going to be fucking popular with everybody, are we? We're not, mate, because the world we live in doesn't appreciate outspoken honesty. It appreciates bullshit and you know, not being upfront with people, and that's not what it's about. I will never ever speak to appease anyone. I'll always speak my truth, and I'm always humbled. If a trainer can show me a different way, I'll always do that. But the reality of it is, most of it's shit. Like you said before, about you take some stuff from some trainers and some from others. I think in terms of, you know, I hate the word now, but balanced trainers, Michael Ellis is one of the best, if not the best balanced trainer in terms of behavioural work that you can see, and he's fucking fantastic at protection. But there are some things that I don't like about that. So I'll give you an example. I seen a video of him training a bark and hold with the dog, and he basically put the dog in the sit and he let the dog run in, and it made a mistake and bit. So he outed, put the dog back in the sit,
and done the same thing again and again. It went about 15, 16 reps, and then the dog understood and started barking, and then he rewarded it. Yeah, that's fine, and you can do that, and that'll work. But to me, I don't like to put my dogs in early stages in a position where they're going to make mistakes in the first place, because every time that dog gets it wrong, it's practicing it wrong in my eyes.
Yeah.
Now, do I think I'm a better trainer than Michael Ellis? Not at all.
No.
But that is just something that I would not implement, because my own outlook and my own methodology from my own experience says I could probably teach that. And so, well, I know I could teach that. I've done it many a time. I put a video on my Instagram of that exact exercise where a very, very well-bred Hans Peg police dog that's been imported over chases after a criminal decoy. He turns around, puts his hands up, and the dog stops and barks at him. It's the same exercise, and we've done that on a long line, so the dog couldn't make the mistake of going for the bite in the first place. Because once the dog does it, if it's fun, it's going to do it again.
Yeah, yeah. And isn't it a shame, Danny, that the police force have been told they can't use e-collars, and yet they're having to use e-collars on the quiet because they're not getting the success they want without the e-collar?
Well, the reality of it is, Chris, if you go on YouTube now, anyone, type it in, there is a surge over the last 5 to 7 years of police dogs that fail to engage. Why? Because they're not taking on police dogs
that are harder
to protect his life. They're taking on police dogs that can pass a bullshit course that meets an agenda. I provide dogs to the police. I'm close to them. And the trainers that I've provided to are fantastic trainers. They completely understand it, but they're limited by what the police will allow to happen, because they don't want to be thrown to the wolves, the positive only wolves. So what's happening is they're getting Diet Pepsi dogs to do full fat Coke jobs. And what's happening is, as a byproduct, that officer's life is at risk. That police dog is there to possibly die one day. That dog is there so that an officer goes home to his wife and kids. Do you know what I mean? That's why that dog's there. But yet the bullshit of society, that horrible fucking Victoria Stilwell, gets so deep in it that now officers' lives are at risk because they've got dogs that aren't adequate to do the job.
Exactly.
It's a disgrace.
I mean, and that's a life and death situation sometimes, isn't it? Where with gun dogs,
one of my dogs, Logan, right? He is the nautiest dog I've ever owned, Chris. He is just. I'd never rehome him with anyone, because I just wouldn't trust me to be able to deal with him, because he's a proper dominant dog, right? He should be the dog that a copper wants to his side, because you know, if the shit hits the fan, you will have to kill that dog to stop him, right? Yeah. And they haven't got that dog. They have not got them dogs with them. I've had dogs when I worked for the company before I was self-employed. I've had dogs sent back to me, and the trainers have said, sorry, it's too much dog. We can't get it out. It was like, I sent you videos of it out from a distance, and they just smile and go, you know, the score, we can't do that. And I'm like, oh my God, it's just annoying. It must be so frustrating for these police dog trainers to have to appease this shit. It must be.
But I've seen them, Danny, with the muzzle on, that they send the dog in with the muzzle on because he will just kill. They got no control of getting the dog off the bite, but he will actually knock a villain out with the muzzle on, even going in.
Oh yeah, muzzle attacks are ruthless, mate. A dog will knock you clean out. Yeah. Not many of them.
But the same with the gun dog world. The gun dog world has gone softer and softer, because they're saying you can't use punishment, you can't use discipline, and it's become so pathetic that they're trying to take our sport away from us, really, because years ago the best dogs were the best hunting dogs, not the most biddable dogs.
You're seeing these purely positive gun dog schools now. They don't exist. You cannot train a gun dog purely positively, and you know, if you can, it's just pissing around in a field. You take that on a shoot, it'll let you down every time. You take that to a trial, it's going nowhere.
Yeah, but what they're doing, Danny, they're protecting them. It's like saying your police dog for competition work that looks good in the ring and backs off when told, but doesn't go in with a hard bite. But in reality, you want a dog that's going to protect you, don't you?
Yeah. And again, you know, the public perception, how many times you'll see in American police dogs, they've got some serious bits of kit. And when them dogs are biting and the officer's manually outing the dog, all these people are coming, what, can you not out your dog? I'll tell you now, Chris, no proper dog in a proper fight is coming off on an out command. You've seen my videos. All my dogs are out perfectly. Bark and hold, do that. But you know, in a real fight, I will have to manually out that dog, because once that fight kicks in, you don't want a dog that's going to out like that. No. You have to manually out the dog. The criticism should be, why aren't these American police officers taught the correct way to manually out the dog? Why is it taking 15, 20 seconds to out the dog? Do you know what I mean? But all that stuff, that out and heel and all that business, that is all for show. It's telly stuff. In reality, it's like saying, you know, if someone's just tried to, you know, take a swing at your wife and you're filling them in on the floor, and someone goes, Chris, don't do that. You stop immediately and go, okay. No, you're not. You're in the zone now. You're frigging fueled on the fight. It's not going to happen. And that's exactly the same with a serious dog. Once it's in a fight, it's going through that predatory cycle, and it's just going to smash you up until you take the dog off or you stop moving.
I mean, John Griffiths says here, I've been to a trainer, winner of the Cocker Championship 3 times, and if you see him training, he is hard, but one lesson, he gets results. Exactly. Yeah. But the problem is they're not giving you this information if you're not careful, John, because people are dropping them in it, and people are it's becoming I'm going to report that person. And I have people here telling me about trainers they've been to, and they're hard. You don't know what hard is. Hard is when they kill a dog because they lose frustration and they don't know how to train a dog. They're the people we should be exposing and saying you shouldn't be training with. When you give discipline, you give discipline for the right reason at the right time and at the right level. But there's a very fine level of skill involved in a trainer who's been to the championship 3 times, won with dogs. But guess what? It's not all about winning. It's about the bond you got with your dog as well. And that's what you don't see. That guy may have such a bond.
The reward will always, no matter how bad you think a dog's been punished, the reward will always outweigh the punishment. That's why the dog wins. It wants to do it. It's, for example, if I put a Mars bar behind an electric fence and said to someone, reach through that and get that Mars bar and you can have it, they'd tell me to fuck off.
Yeah.
They would tell me to fuck off. Yeah. However, if I put a suitcase of £1 million and said, reach through and grab it, if you get it, you can have the £1 million, every motherfucker would be getting shocked to death, risking themselves to get that suitcase. Why? Because the reward is worth the consequence. And this is what you don't understand. Punishment is from the perspective of the dog, not the person. If you think you've been hard on that dog and that dog repeats that behavior, then you weren't hard on that dog because the motivation to do the behavior that you want to stop is far outweighing the level of punishment you're delivering. That's what you don't get.
And I'll know this question, but for people listening, Danny, have you had many dog in that have just been so hard, so driven, so out of control that you've had to come down heavy on them, and you can't show it because if we showed it, we would get such a backlash from Joe Public if we put it up, because we have to stop that behavior.
Every week.
There you go.
Week in and week out.
Yeah.
By no means of my own fault. I've kind of been marketed myself as the guy you bring your dog to when it wants to fucking eat people.
Yeah.
I put a success story from Lewis, one of my trainers.
I've seen that, yeah.
When we had a 62-kilo Canet Corso that fucking bit him, and that dog got a hiding. I'm not going to lie to you. The dog's trying to kill you. It's trying to batter you. It's trying to eat you. But look at the end story. The woman now, she's barely 5 foot tall, walking a 62-kilo Canet Corso everywhere around the park, and it's good as gold.
Yeah.
You're talking about momentary discomfort for a lifetime of happiness.
And did that dog hold baggage, Danny, for the rest of its life?
Did it? Hell, it's happy as fuck.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
And this is what you don't realise. I don't know if you've seen the picture I put up the other week, and that same trainer, Lewis, just through dancing with a South African bulbul. That's a bitey bastard, and just dead unlucky, slipped on his back and his leg landed in the dog's mouth as it was biting, but it's took a chunk out of him. He's had to have a skin graft.
Yeah.
This is what people don't understand when these little fucking knobheads are talking shit about us. Oh, have you seen what they do? Have you seen what they do this? I'll tell you what we do, you little bastards. We risk our life and limb to make sure that these dogs get a fighting chance.
Yeah.
We don't just write them off and say, put it to sleep.
Yeah.
We fix the fuckers.
Yeah.
And that is a reality check. Every single working week for me and my trainers and all the guys like yourselves, you're risking yourself to get a result for people. When we have
a dog coming up a lead at us, we stop that behaviour because we don't let it escalate, but we know how to stop it, don't we? That's the whole point.
I have a few people in the protection dog industry that do behaviour work as well. Jay Curran, Phil Lockhart, and that. We have running jokes about when you find a meme with someone with a scared face, and we always say when a dog climbs the lead of a purely positive trainer.
Yeah.
Because this is what people don't understand. There are so many trainers out there that when you watch them, when you're experienced, you just go, you've not been handling a dog 2 seconds. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these people are always experts. You know what I mean?
And the whole point of it is we know when to step in, and we know how to not to get into a confrontation very often. But on the odd occasion, we get caught. That's the price we pay for training dogs, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. You can't stop a dog from biting unless you're willing to handle a dog.
Yeah.
And that's why I say on everything, if you can't handle it and you can't demonstrate that you've done this kind of stuff, then you've got no say. No one gives a shit what you've got to say. But you're not going to start taking criticism from some little dickhead who's got a Vizsla and says it's a gun dog. But however, if you were a multiple field trial champion, you'd be all ears. Do you know what I mean?
But if you're getting bit every week, Danny, you're doing something wrong, aren't you?
Yeah, fucking right, yeah. Fucking right. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah. God. Have you heard much from Mr. McCluskey?
Fucking good. I just wind him up, I find him... it's like that Robert Elaine, where he says he was he was on the balcony and he had to fucking decide what part to give the dog, and he wanted to throw it over the balcony. And I just think, fucking what a load of shit. And you're supposed to be the man in the moment that they bring on TV every time they got a dog problem. No wonder this dog world is fucked up, isn't it? You know?
That Robert is to dog training what I am to the London Ballet. Honest to God, watching that was painful. It was painful. I got sent the link, and you know, I don't get on with Chris Fraser really, but I like the points he was making. That Robert was talking utter shite, saying like the dog's fucking trying to hunt him down and shit. And I'm like, oh my God, you back the dog into a corner on a balcony. It's fearfully aggressive. You're talking shit.
Yeah, absolutely shite, wasn't it? Eh? But the problem is because I was friendly with him, and I generally was friendly with him when we chatted. And he's very opinionated, tells me I'm doing it wrong and I don't fucking bite, but I like listening to people. He then said, you didn't back me. I'm not going to back you if I don't fucking agree with you. I don't care whether we're
talking shit.
Yeah.
And again, when he was talking about breeding, and he's mocking Chris and saying, because Chris was saying, you're genetically passing down from the mother to the father. And he's like, is that really how you think genetics work? And I'm like, do you know what? You're just a classic example of someone who's read all the books, but you've never bred a dog in your life. You have no understanding of how genetics actually work.
Yeah.
You've read the paperwork.
Yeah.
You're fucking right. When you breed, you pass down the genetics from the mother and the fucking father. That's what we breed for.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
And the whole point of that was...
You know what made me laugh though, Chris? Do you know what made me laugh?
Go on.
Chris asked him what the worst incident he's ever had.
Yeah.
His worst incident was, I nearly got bitten.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But the problem is, you let them speak, Danny, and they hang themselves.
Oh yeah. Because they're in abundance of the bullshit of the other side of dog training. It's the old everyone. If everyone's saying it, then it must be right. Well, no, you're all just talking shit because the people who are saying the opposite are proving it every day. And I've always said it, and you say the same. We're unique beasts in this industry because I don't give a fuck what you got to say. I'll come to your centre and I'll demonstrate.
Yeah.
You come to my centre and I'll demonstrate. Yeah. I won't back away from a challenge. I said the same thing to Chris Fraser when he talked shit about me and said, if we ever cross paths on a training field, I'll wipe the floor with you. So I commented and put, that's sound. You're coming over to the UK, bring a fucking dog, pick a trial, and we'll enter it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know that I promoted Chris Fraser for a long period of time, and then I started seeing how many people he was having a go at and falling out with, and I thought, hang on, this ain't doing the dog training world any good. No. Because at the end of the day, there's one thing critiquing something and having an opinion, but put up your work and show your work. And
it just become everyone's shit except me, and I didn't like it.
But he has backed off a bit, hasn't he, Danny?
Yeah, well, that's why, because people were starting to see it for what it was. And to be honest, all I seen was he was just selling seminars. So if you taboo everyone and tell everyone you've got a better way, everyone's curiosity killed the cat and they all pay $500 and go to your seminar. But I've seen some stuff. I've been sent some stuff. And again, there's loads of stuff I've seen from Chris that I really do like.
Yeah.
But just like every dog trainer in the world, there's other stuff that I see that I think is absolutely piss poor. But that's what dog training is. It doesn't mean you lose respect for anyone. The only respect I lose is when you start acting like a bitch and don't address things to me face. That's the only kind of respect. I lost respect for him as a man, but not as a trainer.
Yeah.
You know. But Chris seems to take offence if you don't just bow down and suck his dog training dick. I can't be doing with it. I just can't be doing with it. But
what I can't understand is he says there isn't a decent dog trainer in the UK. He's never been to the fucking UK. He doesn't.
Exactly.
He doesn't know people in the gun dog world. He doesn't know fucking anything about gun dogs. So
Yeah.
I take slight offence when he fucking turns around and
I
says,
take massive offence because you know what? He's never posted. He's like me. He's into the protection side of things, and he's got all his trophies. But he's never put anything on the internet that comes close to my standard of training. Never. And I don't care. Anyone could. I'm not watching the YouTube now, but people comment, and I invite you, go and look through his work and look through mine. You will not see better obedience. You won't see better, harder dogs under manners doing as they're told. So how dare he? He's just talking shit.
But the thing with me is I stick to my subject, although I listen to everybody and anybody to do with dog training because I want to be the best I can and better myself every week. But guess what?
Exactly.
The more I watch it, the more I fucking listen to it, the more I think, fucking hell. You become very confused if you fucking try and follow everybody because it's impossible.
That's it.
If you get results, put your fucking results up. And if your calendar is full, then you're doing something fucking right. If you don't have to advertise.
All I aim to do is be a better version of myself every day.
Yeah.
That's it. Every dog I get, I aim to train it to a better standard. That's all I aim to do. Someone wants to throw a little challenge in along the way. I'm not the guy that's going to back down to a challenge. So that's sound.
Now, I say things the way I say them, and if it upsets someone, it upsets them. And I don't want to upset them, but I say it the way it is. I can tell you that I've never heard you trying to plug seminars. You never hear me touting on the internet, I need people here, come here. I do seminars. And yet we've got people like Chris pushing for seminars. Now, I'm not having a go at him. What I'm saying is if you're good, they'll find you, they'll come to you. You don't need to push for it. You don't need to push for it. He might not like what I say, but I'm saying it the way I feel. And yet
I've been quiet for a long time on the internet because I've been training 2 lads the first time I've ever done it to do the kind of job role I'm doing. So I've got a staff of 3 now. And I don't need to plug anything. You won't see anything on my page. Are you struggling with your dog? The only kind of write-ups I do is educational and say, people say X, Y, and Z. Here you're seeing a dog that does X, Y, and Z, and this is why we did. That's all I do, educational. I'm not interested in it. I make a fucking good living doing something that I absolutely love doing. I'm very, very blessed. I don't need to sell seminars. I don't need to launch a fucking online syllabus. I don't need to do any of that.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're talking shit about every single dog trainer and then saying my seminars are, well, everyone starts seeing what that's about then, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
And the thing is as well, it's the same as this certification stuff. The fucking amount of people flogging courses that you get a certificate at the end of it. It doesn't mean jack shit.
Yeah. Who gives shit? I can make it a certificate tomorrow. It doesn't mean fuck all.
No, not at all, is it?
Yeah. I tell you, I can write myself a degree certificate in astrophysics, but NASA's not going to come knocking on my fucking door, is it?
No, exactly. If they started running competition with good awards, good prizes, then I might start thinking about doing it and say, sod the politics. I want to earn the money. But when you go to a trial and you pay £25 to enter the trial, and the prize is £25. And the fact is, it doesn't matter if your face doesn't fit. They won't be asking you to judge because it doesn't matter how many dogs you win with. It's whether your face fits and whether you're in a sticky little group who all look after each other.
Yeah.
So the judging is bent. The freaking trialing is bent. Why the fuck am I going to travel 300, 400 miles to run a dog when I can stay at home training dogs and really make a good living? This causes jealousy, Danny, in the dog world because they go, that man doesn't need to advertise because he speaks his mind and he gets people following him. Why? Because they like honesty. They like honesty, Danny.
That's it, exactly. And not just that. You're a living, breathing, walking demonstration of your work, which is what I do. I've got to be in my bonnet at the moment about the UK trial scene for protection dogs. It's become one big fucking dick measuring contest.
Yeah.
Every single station is about how much pressure can we put on a dog before it'll back down.
Yeah.
There is so many more dynamics to a protection dog. And I just won't enter my dogs in them because I just don't agree with any of it at all. But I don't need it because I just put my videos online and I just let people enjoy watching it. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. And if you don't, you can fuck off. I don't care.
But there's the same thing. That's what Chris Fraser says. And so you're agreeing with Chris Fraser on so many things. And yet we can agree to disagree. It doesn't mean we need to all fucking throw our toys out of the pram. But if another trainer starts slagging you off, you have every right to deal with it the way you see fit.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, in all fairness to Chris, I've not actually heard him slag me off. He's made stupid little jokes about being boyfriends with Jonas and that, which doesn't really ask me. It's just petty, that. The only reason I had something to say to Chris is because he was kissing me ass through Nicky, his fucking PA, and he was asking, can he run seminars for me place? Yeah. Will you run a trial with me? I'll put £10,000 as a prize. Yeah, Chris, I'll do all that. And then he done his stupid little one word comment, being arrogant as fuck to me online.
I saw
and then
it.
Made a fucking big video without even giving me the good graces of, hey Dan, do you fancy a debate on this? Hey Dan, I'm just gonna let you know. Now, don't start inviting yourself to me fucking me training centre when I'm happily gonna host you for free and talk to me about setting up a trial and then start acting like a little bitch. I just don't have it. It's nothing to do with his training way.
But the difference is though, Danny, he's never met a feisty Scouser, is he? That's a problem.
Well, that's it, yeah.
You came back at him and he took offence.
And in all fairness, right, again, when I was speaking to him, he was sound enough, but I'm so glad that happened online, because I tell you now, I swear, people don't want to hear it, but we're all individuals, because if he did disrespect me like that in person, I'd have fucking dropped him. I'm not messing. I'm so glad that happened online. And I went, oh, fuck that, I'll be done with that. Because if I'd have been spoken to like some fucking child or just disregarded after allowing, being nice enough to say you can use me centre, I'd have fucking banged them. I wouldn't have had it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. People don't like it. And then you get the purely positive that listen to these kind of things and go, oh, well, that's how you must train dogs. No, it's not. That's just my personality. I just don't take shit.
But the difference is, Danny, at least we may be squabbling, but at least we're talking about it and talking about it. We're not just fucking all arse licking each other and fucking trying to form a group to be powerful, more powerful than the positive only. Yes, we have got our differences, because it's the same as a couple of trainers you've had a go at and said, hang on, I'm not supporting them. At the end of the day, that's your prerogative. I've said, hang on, I understand if you've got a pet dog and you've got a few weeks to work on the dog, where I got 20 weeks to work on a gun dog.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a difference, 20 fucking weeks to turn a dog around.
Yeah. Especially when the kind of dog that more often than not, someone has it in the mind what they want it for. When I get a pet dog in, that dog's got to decompress. It's usually got to learn to self-soothe and cope, because it's a pet that's been babied to fucking has zero coping mechanism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's freaking, it's work. But yeah, there's just so much shit. And like I say, you don't see me going after anyone, but I'll always respond. I will always respond to them. But this is the reality of it, Chris. All the people say, like, you think you know it all and you can learn from everyone. You can't learn from everyone.
No.
When you're in this industry, the fastest lesson you'll ever learn is most people talk shit.
Yeah.
And the people who know some shit, you'll never see Ivan Balabanov, Bart Ballon, Michael Ellis. You'll never see any of them commenting shit on my videos, because the people who know what they're talking about crack on with their own stuff.
Yeah.
The dickheads that talk shit and can't back it up are the ones that are commenting negative crap. So that's the reality of it. And that's why you'll never see me just commenting someone, what's this? This is shit. I just don't bother with it. But can't be asked. I could do it. Fuck me. I'm sure you could yourself.
But it's like that Dale McCluskey. He's not a threat for no fucker, is he? He's just an idiot, isn't he? He's just so freaking wound up in his own ways. He's lost in his own world, isn't he? We just let him ramble.
And, on a serious note, and I know it sounds like I'm calling him, but I'm not. I'm just telling you like what I see. I watched that man handle a dog, and that fucker just can't handle a dog.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Dog, he's got check chains on the wrong way round. He's handling the dog at all times. I've never seen him loose lead walk a dog. And I know when you listen to his bullshit fucking contradictory narrative, it's like he thinks that if he hasn't got some sort of force over the dog, then the dog is holding control in the relationship. It's just so warped.
But he's nagging the dog, isn't he, Danny? He's nagging it, shit, non-stop.
All the time.
Yeah.
And honest to God, this is the industry, though. Everyone's an expert, aren't they?
But let's be honest, Danny, where does that come from? It comes from the police force, and I know so many guys from the police force who pack up at 50, and then they go, what am I going to fucking do? Oh, I'll become a dog trainer. And I ain't being funny. I got some mates who are good dog trainers, but I got some of them who they've had 2 or 3 dogs that they've been fucking conditionally motivated, as in institutionalized, how they do this, like this and that. They don't know how to train a dog, and then they try and take on pet people's dogs and haven't got a clue.
Yeah. I think the problem with that is, all the police that I know, they're all legit and sound, but at least 3 times a week I get told, oh, we went to a police dog trainer. The reality of it is there isn't that many police dog trainers, but what there is a lot of bullshitters who just talk shit to people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you get it in all walks of life. I remember when I joined the army, and lads were telling me that they used to box. Oh, I used to box. How many fights have you had? They tell me, and they go like, oh, I won fucking 10. I lost 2 and I drew 1. I go, you drew 1? Did you box pro? No. Well, you can't draw an amateur, so you're talking shit to me. Do you know what I mean? So, and you get that in dog training every day, don't you? How many times have you heard someone telling you about how many field trial champions they've had, or they've done this and they've done that, and you're like, fuck off.
And they turn up with a dog that's absolutely useless. They're useless.
Yeah.
And they go, my other dog was fantastic. I thought, fucking win. My old dog was fantastic. But it's
fucking crazy, isn't it?
You mustn't patronize them or say, well, shame you haven't got it. Well, it's dead now. Well, we can't judge that one. We can only judge what you're doing with this one, and this one's not right. But I have a wonderful clientele. Because they want to come to me to get the dogs better, Danny. They're not forced to come to me, and that's the nice thing about it. So
this is the issue. People are getting indoctrinated by this purely positive agenda. People have the right to choose how they want to train their own dog, whether they like it or not. Dogs are property. They might be pets here, but they're classed as property by law. If you want to train your dog in a proper gun dog way, if you want to implement the e-collar, or you'd rather train them in an old school way, that is their choice. It's their dog. Yeah, it's their dog. Yeah. Only in the cases where genuine abuse is happening, then should any action be taken. You know, there's a trainer locally here that you've heard, I've done videos about, and Peter Hargreaves, and right? The RSPCA are going after him now because he completely abused the dog on a prong collar, right? Now, that's going to cause fucking murder for every dog trainer, every ethical dog trainer across the country, because that cunt doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
And they jump on that bandwagon. Yeah, they jump on it. Yeah.
But the papers will be all over that, because I would say if that goes ahead, that'll be the first prosecution due to tools. And it's not the tool, it's the fucking tool behind the tool.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
The tool behind the tool. You're dead right. Yeah, dead right.
Yeah. And another one is injuries in dog training. It happens, doesn't it? It doesn't matter what you walk your dog on, whether it's a flat collar, a harness. I've seen more cases of necrosis. And for those of you who don't know what necrosis is, when people say that your dog's been burnt off an e-collar, and it's usually because either you've left the collar on for too long, or the dog's very sensitive in the skin and the contact points are rubbing, so it causes like a scab, similar to if you wear your watch for too long. That happens to me. I've got sensitive skin. That's necrosis. I've seen more cases of necrosis on dogs with harnesses rubbing on their armpits. Yeah. And face halties rubbing their face to bits than I have ever seen on any pinch collar, e-collar, anything. Injuries do happen. It happens. It doesn't just happen because you use one tool. It happens across the board. Bloody hell, I remember as a kid sending a dog out on the field just chasing the ball, and it done a cruciate ligament because it just slipped on the fucking morning dew of the grass. Injuries happen in dog training. People need to be logical in what's weighing it up. Do you know what I mean? How are you weighing it up? If you're saying that your dog's got a bit of chafing off a slip lead, but you corrected the dog because it was aggressive and now it's not, then a bit of chafing's going to be fine, isn't it? And it's just the same with a head halty. I don't use them, but if it's working for the dog, as long as it's not sustaining that sort of injury, then it happens in dog training.
But I used to do the Good Citizens Gun Dogs Kennel Club Gun Dog scheme.
Oh fucking hell!
Do you know? But I did it because I thought that it was a way of moving forward at the time. Then when they told me you couldn't test a dog and examine a dog on a slip lead, I says, you're having a fucking laugh. You're having a fucking laugh. What the difference does a slip lead make to a flat buckle collar with a gun dog? 99% of gun dogs are trained on a fucking slip lead. So why should we change that? Because that's not going to make a difference between whether the dog can be examined by a stranger for like fucking like a vet or something like that. You've got to show the dog doesn't kick off and fight. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. And now they're bringing out harness after harness that just teach the dog to fucking pull.
Exactly.
It's the world's gone fucking crazy.
Mate, I'd go as far to say, I don't know if you'd agree with me, the Kennel Club is the worst thing to ever happen to our dogs.
Years and years ago, I said that to someone, an A-panel judge. And he said, without the Kennel Club, it would be the wild, wild west. There would be no fucking, no control at all anywhere. But the more
control, but breed standards wouldn't be. But now all they did was introduce human specification.
I agree with you, Danny. The more I've listened to it, the more I've watched it, the more I've learned, the more I realise the Kennel Club are one big fuck up. And I will stand up and say that. That makes me not popular for the Kennel Club. That's why they'll never ask me to judge again.
I'm there with you, and I'll say the same thing. And I'm pretty sure that every major player, James Penrith, would agree with that straight away. I know he would. I know he will.
And they say to you, well, if you rock the kennel club, you will never be able to judge because they'll knock you for your judging. I don't give a shit.
Fine.
I say it the way it is, Danny. To be asked to judge is a privilege. You should judge fairly. But if you think that because of my straight talking that I shouldn't be asked to judge with the experience that I've got, stick it up your arse. It's simple as that.
100%. I completely agree, and I have nothing but respect for that.
Yeah, and that's what I've said. That doesn't make you popular out there, but then there's people out there who don't agree with the kennel club, but are sucking up to the kennel club. They give advice to the kennel club, but they they toe the line because they know the kennel club has the power.
Yeah.
We need.
The problem is with the pet dog world, they monopolise the industry. There's no alternative to register your dog with other than the kennel club, so they're going to keep making that revenue. There needs to be some sort of competition instilled, like, you know, in the protection dog world. We're looking at, like, we mostly get dogs from Holland, so they have BRN numbers. You don't register them with the kennel club. You can if you want, but I haven't registered mine with the kennel club. They can fuck off. I'd rather just type in on the database my BRN number, and it'll come up all the breeding in my dog, and I can pick suitable offspring if I want to line breed it or whatever. I will avoid the kennel club as much as I can, because I just think they sold the soul to the devil a long time ago.
So do you believe a good dog doesn't need paperwork then, Danny?
100%. You know, when I send my dog after you, I'm not sending paperwork. I'm sending the dog. So as long as I know the bloodline of that dog and where that breeding is. I mean, I've got a dog with me now, and it was given to me by a gay lad brought it to me. He bought a Malinois. I don't know. You know, he lived in a flat. He didn't need a Malinois. This dog's a beast. Stu's got it now. One of my guys who trains with me. The dog's an absolute monster. Do you know the breeding is nothing in that dog, but he's a freak of nature.
Yeah, exactly. And we've had them in the gun dog world. They've got no breeding behind them, but they're a freak of nature. And
if the dog's got it, it's got it.
Yeah, yeah. And when I look at a dog in the field, I don't want to see the pedigree first. I'd like to see the pedigree afterwards, because that gives me an indication of where the quality can come from. Yeah. But the problem is there's that much corruption in the breeding, Danny, in the gun dog world. You sometimes you just fucking, you're like picking sticks, you know, fucking. Yeah. It's luck, pot luck, whether you've got somebody who's honestly bred the right dog with the right dog. Because I know breeders, 100%. I know breeders will open a drawer and go, what do you want the dog to be out of? I can fill in a pedigree for you. I can fill in a fucking application form. It's not fucking right, because that makes the kennel club legitimacy about pedigrees and all that. It throws it out the window, because and now when they've tested the cockers and DNA tested them and found out they're sprockers, they've shoved it under the carpet instead of taking it further to highlight the fact. But it's nothing new. It's been done for fucking years. You know it yourself with dogs. To put more drive in your dog, they'll put that freaking pit bull in there. They'll put that freaking
hybrid valor.
Yeah,
it's called.
Yeah,
hybrid valor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been done for years. Malinois are only 26 inches tall.
Yeah.
You know, and weigh about 28 kilo. My Logan's 42 kilo. He's fucking massive.
Yeah.
Because he put Shepherd in there along the line. You make it the size out of it. Then he put Pitbull in there, get a bit of ferociousness.
Yeah.
And then he breed until it looks like a Malinois again. And then we're done.
But the whole point of it is, Danny, you only have to go 2 generations and keep the whole fucking litter, and you go back to looking like it was supposed to look at.
Exactly.
So,
and this is why dogs like the Doberman and the Rottweiler are shit nowadays.
Yeah.
Getting a good one. People won't like it, but getting a good one is difficult. Why? Because aesthetically, they have a certain look about them, and the second you put something else in there, it changes the aesthetics of the dog. Whereas a Shepherd and a Mallee, they come in all ranges, different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So you can accept, it's still a Mallee. It looks different to that, but it's still a Mallee. You can't do that with a dog. You put something in there and it changes the look. So every time you're breeding it from the same lines again and again, it's just weakening the genetics. So because of your knowledge and your experience in your area, is a good big un always better than a good little un? Well, it depends. So some big uns, the confirmation's all out, aren't they? So no, but a good big un, a good one, yeah, for man work, yeah. Yeah. You know, at the end of the day, it's graphic, but this is the reality of these type of dogs. If you send the gamest, hardest dog that weighs 28 kilo at me, I can pick it up and break its back on a wall. Yeah. If Logan gets old, he's taking it on the ground and you're not getting up. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the difference. You want a man stopper, do you know what I mean? And that's exactly the same in the gun dog world, where we've lost it, because years ago, a good big un would beat a good little un, because the little un now is stylish
and in a runoff, you're not going to beat it in white grass. But if you want a dog to punch cover and be suicidal, a good, strong, driven dog is nothing better of having that dog to find birds. If you live in an area
with a bigger dog, it's going to be much more comfortable carrying big game back.
Yeah, dead right. And so what happened years ago, you saw the Cocker Championship, and springers were supposed to jump the fence and bring it back, and like Labradors, cockers, you could go over and pick it up the other side because they weren't capable of carrying a big cockbird. And what they've done, they've mixed them with springers, and now the cockers are bigger. And so the purists are all moaning that, and it's not a cocker, it's not real cocker, it's a springer. Well, it's a cocker sprocker. Well, you shouldn't be running it because technically the Kennel Club says a sprocker is an unbred dog, and technically in competition.
And you know what? What's your opinion on that? Because to me, what you should be judging is someone's ability to train a dog and the genetics in the dog and how well it performs. Who gives a fuck what dog it is?
Exactly.
If you rock up to a gun dog trial and you've got a fucking Rottweiler and it outperforms everyone and brings pheasants back in perfect condition, what the fuck's wrong with it? You'd still use it.
Yeah, but you can't because it's not a pedigree gun dog, and that's the fucking joke about it. Because they're trying to
such snobbery, isn't it?
They're trying to dictate the rules, and yet they bend the rules, and they bend the rules for the certain people who are high up in the sport. And yet, if you got caught doing it, you get thrown off the kennel. You get thrown off the dog scene for 10 years.
Once upon a time, it will have been instilled to preserve a certain person's lines. There's always someone rubbing the greedy little hands together when these rules come in, and it would have been so that everyone goes towards specific lines so that no one ventures out and does their own thing.
Yeah. And so then you've got
all about the fucking coin, mate.
And then you've got a cocker that's like the size of a spaniel, and it's whipping the arse off these little tiny stylish little cockers that can hardly carry a bird, struggle to get out there and pick it, can't drag it through cover. They're becoming softer in their lines. And then you wonder why people are moaning, the purists, against the people who are breeding. Now, they've picked on one person, but he wasn't the first person to do it. It's been done for, 60 years that I know of, right? And guess what? You can't nobble one person because you say the DNA is right, because the DNA can't actually say who fiddled the breeding. It could have been done 4 generations back.
Yeah. 100%.
It would just come back as saying it's a sprocker. It's not a purebred cocker, and it's not a springer. But you can't fucking grab someone and go, I accuse you of cheating, if you can't prove it. And that's what they're relying on. They're relying on the fact that the genetics, the DNA testing, is the same as this ELF testing. Do you get much of this with DNA testing with your protection dogs?
Yeah.
Do you stick to it or not? Or would you just take a good dog because it's a good dog?
I'll take a good dog on a good dog. If it was like, if like Dobermans are prone to getting DCM and stuff of the heart, aren't they? Stuff like that, I'd want to be tested for. But I like the hip score and all that, but I think you can get a bit silly with it. Do you know what I mean?
But now in the gun dog world, it's become really silly because everything's DNA tested. It's like, as humans, before we get into a relationship, do we go, hang on, darling, you're going down the clinic?
No, I know. And that's the reality. And the reality of it is, we will never, ever, ever, the brightest minds in the world will never fully understand genetics.
No, exactly.
2 of the most perfectly healthy dogs, breed them, and it's a litter of shite.
Yeah.
You could easily. How many times have you seen field trial champion to field trial champion, the offspring do fuck all?
They call it guessometry. If it works, if you breed very close, it's called line breeding. If it doesn't work, it's called interbreeding. Simple as that.
One of my lads, I think it was Robbie, I can't remember. He said to me, "How did you pick Logan?" I went, "I'll have that one."
And the thing is, Danny, you get people saying, "I can pick a dog out of the litter, and I can guarantee it's going to be the right dog." I can guarantee because I've studied it, and we talk about the science behind all this shit. I've had that many litters over the years. I don't care if you sit in there for 2-3 hours. You are not going to pick the dog.
You will never know.
No.
At the end of the day, I see it as this. It's 70% effects of training, 30% genetic.
Yeah.
You just need to get that 30% right. I tell you this now. When the only reason I've still got Logan now is because Charlotte fell in love with him. right? I would have hand on heart. That dog's taught me so much, Chris. I will watch that dog because from 0 to 5 months, he was fucking useless. He didn't want to know. He was flat. He didn't do anything. And you know, he hit 6 months old, and I went, "Where the fuck has this monster come from?" He just changed. My point being, the dog might look fantastic as a pup.
Yeah.
It'll grow into sight.
Spot on.
It might be flat, and it'll grow great.
Spot on. Because if you've got 8 pups in a litter, and you've got the boldest one there, and you think, "I'll take the boldest one. I'll take the boldest one," and he gets nailed at 7 weeks before he leaves that litter. It knocks him back, and he ain't the freaking bold one anymore because the little fucker who's been picked on, who said, "Hey, I've had enough of you fucking lot nailing me," he becomes the boldest one. So they change, and human intervention changes them right through that early learning stage.
People don't realise that from a puppy right the way through to an adult, they have a series of detrimental learning curves, and it changes them. It changes them. Well, you might have a dog that's doing nothing, and all of a sudden, it's the frigging blue-eyed boy. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just the way it is, isn't it?
I mean, I've said this to many people. I've had a dog at 14, 15 months old. If you came to my kennel, I paid 300 quid for it, perhaps. Well, I did pay 300 quid years and years ago. If you said to me, 14 months old, "I'll give you 300 quid that you paid for that dog," I'd say, "Freaking take it, mate." But guess what, Danny? All dogs change sometimes. And that dog then won first time out and then became a gladiator, a real driven freaking dog. So you can't tell me that you can fucking pick him out because he was like a gangly about him, but he was not firing on all 4 cylinders. All of a sudden, he came to the level of became a super dog. Other dogs at 6 months old, you think, "Fucking hell, this dog's fantastic. He's natural." And then he fucking falls off the wagon when you put pressure on him because he can't take pressure because he's genetically not fucking quite all there, like, you know. So
yeah, exactly. When I was training Flint up, the guy I was training alongside, he had a pup from Flint's breeding, but the litter before, and that dog was flat. It wouldn't go through the bushes or nothing like that. And we had to force retrieve it. So its initial retrieve was a forced retrieve. That dog went on to be the happiest working dog you'll see. And the first time it ran in a novice, it won it. It won a novice straight away. And then it wouldn't retrieve. It had to be forced retrieved.
And then
you know what I mean?
Then you'll get people who have been successful and done well in the dog training world said, if you have to force retrieve a dog, you shouldn't be breeding off it. If you have to train a dog on a place board, you shouldn't be breeding off it. A load of bollocks. I'm telling you, some have got it, some haven't got it, some you put into them. And it's the end result that you breed off, isn't it?
100%. And just because the dog's flat, the genetics are still in the dog if it's there, full stop. You know what I mean?
But then we could go back and reverse that and say, well, okay, let's go back 25 years when dogs were real hunting machines, but they didn't have the control, they didn't have the handling, they were just very driven, and the average person wouldn't hold them. The professional trainer would obedience train them and beat them into submission.
Yeah.
And then they'd sell pups out of there and people wouldn't have a fucking clue how to train them, Danny. Yeah. So would you say that's not what we want neither? There's a happy medium, isn't there?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what breeding went for. Like I say, you want a dog that's driven enough to excel in the job, but not too driven where it affects its decisions.
Yeah.
And it's hard because dogs get drive blind, don't they?
Yeah, without fail.
If they got too much, look at the difference between I'm having the perfect conversation with you. Look at the difference between your English bred labs and them American big fucking massive dopey Labradors. They are absolutely bananas. I've had a few of them in that you can do bite work with them, protection work. Yeah. Whereas Flint's a dream for me. He's so driven for his job, but he's just placid where he listens and he takes in information. He's able to retain lessons because he's sensible.
And hang on, there's that wonderful word, sense and sensibility.
Yeah.
Because we need the drive.
You'll never see an American gun dog magazine without an e-collar on.
No.
Very rarely when you're in the British gun dog scene, the dogs have e-collars when they're, and definitely not when they're trialing. But in America, they've all got e-collars on because the fucking dogs are mental.
But I went over there, Danny, to Texas 25 years ago to the National Amateur Championships. Took 3 dogs over there for customers that I'd sold, and they invited me to come up front and really get involved with it. And the day before the trial, on the same ground, they were frying the shit out of dogs on e-collars, and they were screaming and pissing themselves, right? And I'm not good. I lost friends over this because I fucking come back and wrote an article about it. But the thing is, Keith Erlinson said years and years ago, there isn't a hard dog left in England, Chris. I said, what do you mean, Keith? You haven't seen this fucker I've trained. I said, I've let him chase in the rabbit pen. I've never seen a dog so driven. He said, there isn't a hard dog left in England. I said, what do you mean? He said, they're all in America. I said, what do you mean they're in America? He said, because they couldn't fucking handle him in this country, so they've sent him off to America. That's why they have to use e-collar after e-collar after e-collar. And he was dead against the e-collar. That was a guy that I worshipped as a dog trainer. He was an old school. He took me aside and he taught me so much. And yet I can tell you to this day, I now wonder how he would think now if we showed him how to use dogs on an e-collar the way we can and get the results we do. Because I think 25 years ago, Danny, they were barbaric fucking tools and people didn't know how to use them. They were just fucking nailing dogs with them. They were shitting themselves.
25 years ago, that's how they were used, didn't they?
Yeah. And that's why it's so important that we educate now. If not, we are going to lose it. And like you say, with people like Jamie fighting for what we believe in, we've got to support each other in that situation. And it's putting our work up that shows people what we can achieve with an e-collar. And that's why I've always said, at the end of the day, I thank people like Larry for at least putting his head above the parapet and saying, look, if we do it this way, we can teach a lesson. But guess what? I don't agree with everything Larry says, because I believe that sometimes we've got to be firm. We've got to be hard.
Yeah. I think Larry believes that as well. Larry's just super aware of how today's media and how today's public will bend and swerve things to suit their own agenda. So he's very careful about what he says. But I would like him. I would like to hear a bit more, of the reality side of when we do need to punish and when we do need to, we can talk about how we can use this tool as a line of communication, but in reality, it's the most sophisticated, modern way of punishing a dog that you can ever have. So why wouldn't you talk about that as well? Because it means that gone are the days where you have to be super physical with these dogs.
Yeah,
that's something we should rejoice in and celebrate.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I agree with you 100%. And I tell you what, Danny, this has been one of the best sit-down chats that I've enjoyed with someone, and you're from a different aspect of dog training compared to me, and yet we've got very similar views. And
same, mate, same.
And I love the fact that you've come on, and I thank you for that, because you've been on here an hour and 12 minutes, mate. I really thank that, and I really know that you'll get a lot of likes and good comments about this when people watch this on live feed. Because
cheers, Chris. I've got nothing but respect for you, mate. I really appreciate
and you. And we're all thinking about oh shit, Jamie. You know the situation, don't you?
Yeah. He called me straight away,
and we're all.
I just want to make the point of saying, guys, give him a good support network. I promise you now.
Yeah.
For what he posts on the internet, every single one of you has no idea what that man does behind the scenes. His own family miss out. And it's all completely selfless. It's all free of charge. I know he misses out on work.
Yeah.
The documents he writes to these politicians.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I get them sent to me all the time with proofreading because you're always looking for extra feedback. Honest to God, the man bends over backwards. And if there's ever a person on the planet that doesn't deserve that fucking news, it's Jamie. And
exactly. Sad. I was so gutted when I heard it, and I saw the picture of his kid.
He's a fighter.
Yeah.
He's a fighter.
He will. Yeah.
He'll be sound. He'll come out the other side and. We're all there for support, and if he needs it. But he's got a great support network in his family anyway.
Well, just to let you know, Danny, you've got a lot of people here saying, brilliant, Danny, absolutely fantastic, brilliant live chat, lads, and thank you so much. And that's what it's about. It's about I get a following because they know exactly I speak my mind, and people are coming on here and they're saying, Chris and Danny, thank you so much. And that's important because.
Thanks very much, guys.
And so I appreciate that, Danny, and thanks for your time, mate. You're a star.
Yeah, no worries. My pleasure, mate. I'll speak to you soon, Chris. Take care of yourself.
Take it easy and stay safe, boy. Bye-bye.
You too, mate. Take care. Bye now.
Bye-bye. What a wonderful chat, everybody. What a great chat. William asked me if I'd go and do a live chat with Danny. I'd do a live chat with anybody. But Danny is one guy I can listen to. He's so passionate. He gives it out there. He says it the way he feels it. And at the end of the day, to be honest with you, it makes me slightly emotional when someone's got that much compassion and that much caring for what he does as a job. And that's what I think should come across in this live feed. I'll speak to these guys and I'll talk to anybody about dog training. But with Danny, I can agree with so much. It's unbelievable. And yet we come from two different aspects of dog training. And yet Danny Danny has also trained a few gun dogs as well for himself and for other people, and he helps people with other dogs. But his main line is protection dogs, bite work, and stuff like that, and problem dogs. People go to him with real aggressive problem dogs. Not my specialty. Simple as that. I don't pretend I know everything about that. I'm a gun dog trainer. I like to stick to that, but I love to listen to other people who give it the way it is. I can listen to that bloke all day long, straight from the point, passionate, no frills. Exactly, John Wilson. And that's it. I bring people into the forums and into the groups that we talk to, the people I recommend, and the people I not that I follow, because I don't follow Danny, but I've watched his work and I've really enjoyed it, and I've watched his rants, and he's passionate to the point that perhaps he's a little bit more aggressive than me. But I'm older now, and I've learned to be a little bit more sort of diplomatic, although that's very strange with some of you. You all know that. I speak my mind. And it's that passion that Danny's got that I can live with all day long. And that's why I follow those sort of trainers, and I credit those trainers out there. So if you've got a dog that you're struggling with, and it's not a gun dog, and it's in the Liverpool area, you need to contact Danny Wells. He's on Facebook, and I thoroughly recommend him. He'll give you no bullshit. He'll give it you the way it is. And like I say, we're all trying to make a living. We're all out there working hard. I didn't like the fallout between the pettiness between Chris Fraser and Danny. I stood up for Danny when I felt that Danny was right to fight back if someone's having a go at you and your way of training. But it doesn't mean I want to fall out with Chris Fraser. I say it the way it is, everyone, and that's what it's about. So tonight you've had an hour and 35 minutes instead of an hour. We call it a special edition, really. I thoroughly enjoyed it. You've listened to a trainer from a different aspect of just got my fireworks with this live stream. No need for tomorrow now. There you go. Boxing 24/7. Passion is knowledge. That's why you connect. That's exactly what it's about. Passion is what we do it for. I have got passion. I've got drive. It's got me in more trouble over the years because I say it the way it is. I speak my mind. But at least you know where you stand with Chris Upton. And poor old wifey in the background, she's not even been involved tonight. I mean, Secret Sue in the background is normally involved.
No, I was just amazed.
What?
That there was somebody there that actually stopped you speaking.
See what she said? There was someone there who stopped me speaking. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? But you know what? Why? I shut the fuck up. Why? Because he is talking sense. And you hear me talking every week. It's great to hear someone else talking and giving it the way it is. And that's what these dog forums should be about. It shouldn't be about sucking up to each other. What? What did John Wilson say, Sue? I fucking drank too much whiskey.
Listen to that bloke.
No, at the bottom, John.
Easing her into her mouth hole.
What the hell does that mean? Has he been drinking?
No worries.
Has he been drinking? So Simon Spruce said, "Good night, Sue."
Oh, easing her to her month off.
Oh, now we understand, John. I thought it was something sexual then. Or trying to get in the sharp. Good. So anyway, I'm sorry I've not been answering all your questions on there, everyone. Julian Lee's bollocks. Thank you very much indeed. John Wilson, because she's an easy night. Yeah, we give her an easy night off, haven't we? That's it. Good evening, Pierre. I'm sorry I've not spoke to you, mate, but good night all. And like I say, sometimes when someone comes on and you can't stop not listening to Danny because he's so driven and he's so passionate, and what he talks is sense. I would say straight away if I disagree with anything he said there, but I didn't. I agree with 99.9% of everything he said there. So that's wonderful. And it's great that you can see two trainers from different aspects coming together and agreeing with that. And that's what it's about, everyone. That's what it's about. And thanks for tuning in. That's Chris Upton signing off. You've had an extra 38 minutes tonight, you bastards. Bollocks to all of you. Bollocks to all of you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to Chris Upton. And I'm looking tighter and tighter, but I'm not listening to any more of this American politics anymore. Oh, evening, Chris. Just got in. The hound's doing good, Jay Brooker says. Thanks, Jay. Thanks very much indeed, boy. Sue, good night. Stay safe and take care. Who said that? Oh, that's you. Honestly, she's such a softie, isn't she? Look at the mask she's got up for everyone. She wants me to do this for you and finish off on a good note, everyone. Listen, keep yourself covered. Keep me covered. I'm coming in. Is that the right way? Unreleased Canine Services, Danny Wells. William G. Webb has put up his link if anybody's got dogs and they've got problems up that way in the country. I thoroughly recommend Danny Wells. And if you've got problem dogs, go and talk to Danny. Danny will help you out. Like I say, if you have to advertise, if you have to tout yourself on a regular basis, trying to sell your wares, trust me, it's the people who don't need to tout themselves who keep saying, I'll try and fit you in. Let me look at my calendar. But guess what? November is free, everybody. It's bloody free, right? If anyone wants to fly here, land in the backfield, and then disappear afterwards, we'll sort you out with a mask. We've got these there, these Borat masks, these Corleone Borat masks. We'll make you wear these when you turn up. But other than that, stay safe, everybody. I wish you all the best, and take it easy out there. Chris Upton signing off. He did an extra 40 minutes tonight, you bastards. You bastards. Stop swearing, Chris. Good night.